I am C. Ajay. I secured AIR 36 in May 22 CA final exams and AIR 39 in CA intermediate exams in May 2019. So I am here to share some of my experiences and strategy as to how to approach CA final direct tax laws paper. So first let me start off with the 1.5 days revision plan. Then I will go to how to present the paper, and finally I will come for initial preparation, that is how to start studying DT and all. So as the exams are ongoing and DT exam is going to come within next few days, I thought I will start with those first. So first, coming on to the 1.5 days revision plan, first you think whether you require 1.5 days or whether you require 2.5 days for DT revision, because elective exam is the only exam which is held before DT, and in case you feel you do not require 1.5 days for elective, better it's advisable to start DT preparations earlier. ஏன்னாக்கா DT சிலபஸ் ரொம்ப வாஸ்ட், எலெக்டிவ்க்கு அவ்வளோ டைம் தேவை இல்லைன்னு நீ நினச்சேன்னாக்க டிடிஏ அந்த எலெக்டிவ்க்கான 1.5 days லீவில் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் சாப்டர்ஸாக கவர் பண்ணுறதுங்கிறது இட்ஸ் ஹைலி அட்வைசபிள். That is it. What I did personally is I started off with direct tax exam preparation immediately after the day I wrote my SCMPE paper, and the next day till afternoon 1:30 I studied direct tax laws and completed important chapters like capital gains, PGBP, trust, and then after 1:32 I started on with the elective preparation, and that carried on till the next day elective exams. So that naturally helped me in completing 100% of the syllabus, if maximum of the syllabus, and head towards the exams more confidently than what I would have done if I studied only for the 1.5 days. So this is one thing which I want to say. Second is prioritize and keep the most important chapters on high priority list during those revision days. Chapters like PGBP, trust. When I say trust, it also includes REIT, INVIT, securitization trust, and naturally charitable trust also, TDS, TCS and advanced tax, and then transfer pricing, assessment procedures and appeals, penalties, non-resident taxation, SCZ taxation, that is section 10AA, then alternate AMT, minimum alternate tax under section 115JB, and then to an extent penalties chapter also. All these chapters carry most marks and are highly important, and you should never ignore them during those revision days before the exam, 1.5 or 2.5 revision days before the exam, and these help you to fetch an exemption or ultimately get maximum of what you can in direct tax paper. And especially PGBP, capital gains, assessment procedures and appeals, TDS, trust and transfer pricing are very important, and all possible effort should be directed at completing those chapters first. Then what I would say is a technique, what I'm going to say is a technique which helps you to retain more. That is, you can focus on memory oriented chapters like theory, that is base erosion, profit shifting, model tax conventions, dispute resolution panel, assessment and appeals. To an extent you can say TDS also. At the end, that is just before the direct tax exam, TDS of course do not risk, you try to complete it first itself because it's a high priority chapter. That then you can keep penalties, offenses and prosecution and appeals to an extent on the day of the exam, so that you are able to remember and recollect it fast and write the exams more better. So this is one of the steps which I would like to say relating to that 1.5 day revision plan. And third, peculiar problems such as the one given in RTP May 22 on section 9B read with section 45(4), and most of the MCQs are really challenging in DT, so MCQs practice, and some of the intricate areas are also the things which you need to look at on the 1.5 days or 2.5 days before the exam. And most important is you must cover all the amendments which are applicable for you, especially for the exams which are going to be which you are going to appear. And for me personally, in May 2022, some 20 to 25 marks came only from amendments, and reading the amendments in last minute, that is during those 1.5 days, really helped me in going a long way in securing 67 marks in direct tax paper. So amendments are really important, and they are critical or very crucial, I would say, in handling DT exams, as questions will be directly lifted from the amendment. And one more thing is case laws. So if they have added any recent case laws in your study material, then it is highly important that you go through all those. Case laws can be directly lifted as theory questions, giving the same facts by just changing the name or date, etc. And they help you to score more marks as it's a theory kind of a thing, and you can easily write within and save time also during the exam. And this is one of the thing. And relating to amendments, particularly this point is relevant for November 22 examination. May 22, that is during my exam, there were a lot of amendments. There was an amendment relating to slum sale, there was an amendment relating to section 9b and section 45.4, there was a newly inserted section 194q, trust chapter. There was a lot of amendments in trust chapter. Even in advanced ruling there was an amendment, set off and carry forward there was an amendment, and all the amendments were not asked in May 2022 examination. Only slum sale amendment and some of the trust amendment and 194q was asked. Slum sale came as an MCQ, so you cannot see in the BOS portal anyway, but it was asked in May 22. However, there are a lot of other amendments. Even unit-linked insurance policy underwent an amendment. So there are a lot of untested amendment areas which can be potentially lifted in November 22 examination. So these are very crucial in helping you secure more marks. Amendments which are there in May 22 remained untested in May 22 can directly be asked as an amendment, can directly be asked as a question in November 22 examination, and the amendments are really crucial for you in preparation for specifically November 22 examination, which is going to come in next few days. So that is one of the most important point which I would like to say relating to this particular upcoming exam. Relating to 1.5 day revision plan, one more point which I would like to say, go through your own attempts RTP and MTP, because you will be able to get an idea as to how the main exam will be to an extent. This is not 100% accurate, but however a rough idea or a rough thought you will be able to get on how the main exam will be. For example, in my May 22 exam, in both RTP as well as an MTP, there was a theory question only asked relating to the charitable trust chapter. From then, I came to a conclusion that it is highly possible that in main exam also relating to charitable trust, a theory question may lift up. And eventually, a theory question only came during the main exam also. So in this way, RTP and MTP of your attempt will help you in determining what kind of style they are going to test the paper, and sometimes, rarely I would say, same questions are also with different numbers of course, the same concept itself are likely to be tested. So your own RTP and MTP are equally important, which you must go through. If you have time, the previous year's RTP and MTP are also very crucial, even suggested answers are crucial, and with that you will be able to come to a knowledge as to how the paper will be and how you will be able to manage it during those 3 hours. So this one point also I would like to add. And last point is, never panic during those revision 1.5 days before the exam, as the syllabus everyone knows is really vast, and once you have completed all the important chapters, there are high chances that you will be scoring very good marks in DT. So there is absolutely no need to panic that I have not completed so and so chapter, as the syllabus is vast for everyone and DT is really a challenge for you to complete 100% of the syllabus on the day before the exam. If you complete most of the what is going to be asked in the exam, that is okay. However, aim must be to complete 100% of the syllabus, and plan must be made to complete 100% of the syllabus. This is only a point which I say so that you must not feel panicked, or you must not get anxious on the day before the exam. So for me personally, I did not study salary and I did not study dispute resolution panel on the day before the exam. Even though that did not appear in the exam, I ensured that I covered all the high priority areas on the day of elective exam leave and on the 1.5 days before DT exam itself. So that the fact that I did not study salary and dispute resolution panel was not any concern, because questions usually will not get lifted from salary and all in CA final DT paper, and luckily for me, also there was no questions asked from those chapters which I left. So this is one of the things which I would like to say. You must not even get anxious and you must not feel panic on the 1.5 days before the exam, because there are chances that you may be lagging behind your own plan itself. So this is what I would say relating to the 1.5 days revision plan. Then coming to presenting a DT paper and how you must approach a DT paper on the day of the exam. So once they give the question paper itself, you will be knowing how the paper is. And relating to that, you must not get panic by reading the size of the question. Once you get the question paper, read all the questions really carefully, because in DT paper, each and every point which is there in the question are potentially influencers of the main answer. For example, in a question, if they have given Mr. John, aged 61 years, is a non-resident. In this point, other than the fact that his name is John, his age, the fact that he is a non-resident, are potentially capable of influencing your answer, because the fact that he is 61 years of age means he is a senior citizen. However, the fact that he is a non-resident means he will not get the benefit of higher slab rate. However, because the higher slab rate is only for resident senior citizen. So all these facts are only to confuse you and add on to your chaos during the exam. So you be clear in all the concepts and approach each question taking each fact as a specific point. So the fact that he is 61 years and the fact that he is a resident or non-resident are there only to affect the answer, and they have not given just like that. And even in case of a company, see the industry in which they are engaged. Suppose they have given that the company is a manufacturing company, then see whether section 115BAB is applicable to that company. Check whether section 80JJAA is being asked in that question, because the fact that it's a manufacturing company means that section is the related section, because it provides that it deals with manufacturing and all and provides specific tax treatment for it. So no fact should be read in that gone through. It should be given equal prominence and see whether any related point is there which is capable of being asked. And then one more thing, there are a lot of intricate areas in tax. So one point which I would like to say is manufacturing. So whether printing of paper amounts to manufacturing or not. There are different treatment in different areas given in the act itself. So you must be highly aware of all those intricate areas and approach the question paper accordingly. And that is one of the things which I would like to say. And second, when it comes to presenting a paper, so this is how a paper will be. And usually you write the questions on the top. Sorry, not here. You write the question here. Let us say 1A. So 1A is usually in DT there will be only one. You will not be writing 1A and all. So question 1 is usually based on PGBP and is usually a 14-mark question. In this question, first itself try and see whether the company is engaged in any manufacturing activity. If yes, check the date of incorporation of the company, whether the date is after the date in which section 115BAB came into force and all that. However, if they have directly given section 115BAB or 115BAA applies to the company, then write your answer accordingly. And this fact is equally important. So first of all, the question should be read thoroughly and carefully. So when it comes to presenting the answer, you will usually present it this way. Net profit as per P&L is so and so rupees. So add disallowances. So let us say there is a 43B adjustment given in this question. So there are two alternative manners of presenting a DT answer, and I would like to say the pros and cons of each of it. So first is PF, paid on so and so date. So this amount will be given and you can write it here itself. So first alternative is writing the relevant note below itself, since it is paid after the due date of return of income. It shall be disallowed under section 43B. This is one way, and there is also another way of presenting the same answer. I will write only that adjustment for the time's sake. PF paid. And you can, this is the second alternative. Here you can give reference to the note number. Say this is note 2. And on next pages, where the answer is over, you can write a separate heading called notes, and in that you can write accordingly. So these are two possible ways in which you can present a DT answer. And when it comes to presentation like this involves lot of time which you can save, because you need not refer a particular note, you need not keep changing pages together at the same time, and you can write the thing below the particular adjustment itself. So this saves you a lot of time. However, there is a disadvantage in this, because if you do not know explanation to a particular point, you cannot just write the adjustment and go on. But however, here if you do not know the explanation to a particular point, you can just avoid. Even though there are possibilities that invigilator may notice that you have not written the corresponding working note, the chances are that it will be absolutely visible in this case rather than here. And one disadvantage in this is you will write the wrong note number. For example, writing note 3 here, and here writing the corresponding workings of the same as note number 2, or vice versa. The chances are that there are chances that you will make a mistake in writing the note number. So what I did is, during my inter days I wrote this method, and during my final I practiced this, because in final the paper usually will be very lengthy, and always you must be aware of how much time is left, what mark should I write, how many more marks should I write, what are all the theory areas which are there, because writing theory questions during those time will help you save a lot of time. And they also guarantee you certain marks, because the theory question asked is usually direct, and you will not be having any confusion over those, and you can write them and save a lot of time. So that is one point which I would like to say. And coming specifically for presenting a DT paper, working notes and explanation, assumptions and all are really important in determining the marks you get in DT paper, because no question you can answer without working note or explanation and assumptions wherever required. However, there is a question. Working notes, assumptions la bare law padi apdiye எழுதணுமா? தேவையில்லை. You can write the working notes and assumptions based on your own words. However, you ensure that you write all the key terms in the working note and explanation. For example, this itself we can take section 43B. For example, there is a PF payment made, and the same is disallowed as per section 43B. You can write that as the payment is made after the due date of return of income, the same shall stand disallowed under section 43B. And you need not verbatim quote the bare law, nor it's possible for you to quote the bare law verbatim in itself. And third, MCQs are really, really tricky and challenging in DT paper. Unlike audit and law, possibly, law also sometimes is quite moderate. Audit usually it's easy. However, in DT, MCQs are potentially not as scoring as descriptive part, and they are really challenging. So one thing which I would like to say is, be thorough in what you have done. For me, in May 22 exams, there was an overriding provision itself which was tested in MCQ. The fact, suppose section 194O is there and section 194H is also there. Suppose both the provisions apply at the same point of time, section 194O will only prevail over section 194H. And 194H la appa TDS pudika vendam. You need not deduct TDS under section 194H. This fact was being tested as an MCQ in my exam. So the fact that you must be thorough with the provisions is really important. And MCQs romba kashtamā irundadunnaaka, you can start with the descriptive part itself, because in DT it is easy to score in descriptive part. Because if you make a mistake, suppose you have made a mistake in one particular question, it does not have a cumulative effect. Ipo FR SFM la, suppose you made a mistake at the starting of a particular question, means the whole sum will go wrong. And for a 8-mark question, you may hardly get 1 or 2 marks. Ana apdi DT la apdi kadayadu. Suppose you made a mistake in the starting of a question, means only that particular adjustment will be going wrong for you. Subsequent adjustments means you will be able to score and possibly get 6 out of 8 or 7 out of 8 also in that question. 7 usually no, you will be able to get 6 or 6.5 out of 8. So that is one of the advantages of a DT paper. Ipo or question apdiye theriyala, அப்படின்னாக்கா பயப்பட வேண்டாம். Just go through and recollect what all amendments, what all adjustments are there in that, which you can write in that question, and you write the answer and present all the adjustments. You will be getting marks for the adjustments which you have done correctly. So that is one of the points which I would like to say in DT paper. And suppose one question is out of the box. You have no idea as to how to attend that question. In December 21 paper, there was a question on exit tax which came. So that question, even though it may seem approachable, once you start writing it, you, without even knowing, you will be able to make a mistake. Some people, even by seeing the question itself, they used to get scared. So அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது question இருந்ததுன்னாக்க, don't panic at that time. Definitely there will be an easy question at some other page. So better write the easy question, and in case you are not able to avoid this, that is, you are not able to leave this question in choice, you can come back to this question and write the question later itself. That is not an issue. The question being the question is of 2 pages, or question is not even அந்த மாதிரி question நான் பார்த்ததே இல்லை, this question is completely new, I have not studied this, don't get scared for all those things, because it's totally normal in CA exams, and you will be able to write this well if you just give some time, go to some other question which you know, and come back with an increased level of confidence. So those are some of the points which I would like to say in presenting a paper and approaching a DT paper. And one more thing, DT papers are usually lengthy. That I already told. I again want to establish that point. DT papers are usually lengthy. For me, what happened is, I had 30 minutes left and I need to write for around 24 marks. So what saved me is, there was a question on tax management and tax planning, which if you write 8 lines itself, you will be able to get 4 marks. That I wrote for some 3 to 4 minutes. Those things save time. So think properly and execute what questions you know and what questions will save time. Theory questions are usually time savers during your DT exam, and they can also add to your score, because there are high chances that you will not write anything of your own. There are particular specific facts or points given which you need to write, and the question are also direct only. So managing time and completing the DT paper is really important, because there is one compulsory question, and there are also 4 additional questions which you have to write out of 5. Many people know, they don't even, during those 3 hours, they don't even realize this fact. They write 4 questions in total and come out of the examination hall thinking that they are finished. And during those rush, they were not even able to realize those facts. So during those 3 hours, just relax and think about all these. Know that you have to write for 100 marks, and write for 100 marks, because with this kind of paper and all, where you will be able to get marks for each and every individual adjustment itself, if you write for 100 marks, there are high chances that you will be able to get a good score itself. So these are some points which I would like to say relating to presenting a DT paper. Now, so far what I have spoken is particularly for those whose exams are nearby, for those students whose exams are very nearby or in days time, particularly November 22. Now I would like to say how to initially approach a DT paper and study a DT paper. So relating to what material you use, the material absolutely depends upon your own choice, provided you are convenient and you are able to cover that material within some reasonable time. So many people refer to private books, and that is absolutely fine, provided you cross-check once with the ICAI study material as to whether everything which is given in ICAI study material are given here also. If any section or any provision is missing, you can refer that from ICAI study material or any other place, because this is only a provision-based paper, and there are many books available which makes you feel comfortable in learning the subject. And that is one thing which I want to say. Second, DT paper is really vast. Usually என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கன்னாக்க, group 1 without audit, group 2 without DT, and DT and audit. Third group ன்னு போட்டாக்க all will be of same volume வாங்க. Audit, if you study properly, is really vast, and DT, you need not even ask me, it's really vast. And completing the syllabus is more than completing the syllabus. How many provisions and how many things you are able to recollect and remember is very important. So constant revision with the subject is really important in DT paper, because all the DT paper is filled with numbers, provisions, limits, applicability. In the company manufacturing language ஆச்சுனாக்க இந்த provision applicable, இந்த company manufacturing la ஆலனாக்க இது. So there are a lot of intricate points and other things which are there in DT paper. So constant touch and revision with the subject and the provisions is very crucial for a DT paper. That is point number 2. after which material. This is point number 2. And point number 3, detailed notes made by your own hand is very important, and it helps you to go a long way heading towards the main exam. So I used to make detailed notes, particularly for those new amendments and new case laws or new adjustments which are there, so that because on the exam day you will not be able to be in a position where you can go and revisit each and every sum given in the compiler or given in the question bank or anything. So these handwritten notes will help you, and particularly those you can compare two sections, you can find out the difference between two sections. Debate under section 87A is before surcharge. However, the debate under section 87 and section 91 is after surcharge. In the very intricate points and all, you will be able to remember better only if you make your own handwritten notes, and that is really important because the questions are asked only based on intricate points. Many questions are based on only intricate points. So detailed handwritten notes is very important. And one more point is MCQs. As I said, the MCQs are really tricky and challenging in a DT paper, and your regular practice with the MCQs. Based on MCQ itself, only based on MCQ, sometimes you will be able to realize the provision itself, the gravity of the provision itself based on the question asked. And the marila arkathuku chance irukku. So there are many books like ICA compiler, past RTP, past MTP. Past, if you are seeing any MTP or RTP other than this attempts, your own exam attempts RTP or MTP, kindly see whether the answer is changed because of any amendment, because that is also crucial. So these are some of the avenues from which you can practice MCQs. So MCQ practice is really crucial because the question asked will be very tricky and challenging. And it is really rare if you get easy set of MCQs in your DT exam. So these are some of the points which I would like to say relating to how to prepare initially for DT. One more last thing which I want to say is, don't treat DT as a theory paper. It is a practical paper. So there are lot of question banks and lot of compiler materials made by private authors of past exams which are amended to your exams available, and it's really crucial that you practice a lot of questions for DT, because merely knowing the provision, unable to recollect the provision, the limits, the applicability and all is not sufficient, and the number of questions you practice also goes a long way in determining how you present a DT paper and how you write a DT paper eventually. So the number of questions you practice is also really important. So that is what I want to say relating to studying, preparing and presenting a DT paper in a main exam also. So thank you, and I would like to thank Saravanan sir and KS Academy for providing me with this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.